At the end of the day, I believe at some point you will concede to Junmar Fajardo. He will get his 20-15, 25-15. But at the end of the day, if you can limit the other players, namely CJ Perez, Jericho Cruz, Marshall Lassiter, even Simon Enciso, Vic Manuel, easier said than done, ang dami kong sinabi. But if you find a way to at least limit these guys and, you know, make Junmar work more for if they want to win, then that's something for TNT.
And second key for TNT, you said they have to let it fly. They're first in 3 points made, they're second in 3-point percentage. Obviously, that's one way also of trying to veer away from matching up with Junmar also.
Yeah, and you want to pull Junmar out of the paint.
Yeah.
And I believe that Poy Eram and Troy Rosario would be very crucial in this series. Namely Poy, because we just found out that he won't be suspended in Game 1. I believe may fine lang. So, Poy, the way he played in the semifinals when he scored 20, a couple of times 19, if he can stretch the floor and force Junmar out of the paint, yun yung lamang ni Poy over a Cliff Hodge and a Raymond Almazan, is to be able to stretch the floor. That's going to be big. And also, basic math, at the end of the day, Junmar, medyo automatic 2 points in sa loob. But if you can counter that with threes, then that's a big plus again for TNT.
Alam mo yung TNT, when you talk about their 3-point shooting, it's not a surprise that minsan yung mga 3-point attempts nila are higher than their 2-point attempts. If you're San Miguel though, alam ko we're gonna go through those points later on for San Miguel, but then I just wanna ask, if they do limit yung 3-point, kahit yung attempts lang ng TNT, sa palagay mo ba that will work in the favor of San Miguel, even if you concede more twos?
Well, you did say it, that they sometimes take more threes. That's their primary weapon, especially here in this All-Filipino Conference. And if you take away the threes, that just means that you take away the main weapon of a Mikee Williams.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when Mikee gets hot, he's going to let it fly, he's going to hit from the outside. So, one thing's for sure, if SMB would want to beat TNT, you know, it goes both ways. If TNT can hit from the outside, that's an advantage for them. If SMB can stop them from the outside, then that's an advantage for them.
Now, I want to figure out as well, because when we talk about San Miguel and we talk about the Philippine Cup and them being in it, we always talk about the Death Five and, you know,
Or
all
we
that.
used to talk about the Death Five.
No, we still talk about the Death Five because it's inevitable that we compare that past team to this team.
Yes.
But you know what? It's all said and done. There's new players coming in. Jericho Cruz, CJ Perez, everybody. Roddy Bradel and Simon Enciso doing very well. Is it fair to say that San Miguel, with this new kind of lineup, still shouldn't really fix anything? Because technically, things aren't broken yet.
No, things aren't broken when you look at it like from this, especially this conference, because we've seen a 100% Junmar Fajardo in which I believe he's better now because he's more cerebral than he was pre-injury. But, you know, at the end of the day, you gotta win at least one chip to be able to at least be at par.
Yeah.
And finally, SMB fans can say na nag-benefit yung SMB with all the trades and rebuilding because namimiss pa rin yung Death 5 until they get a chip. So.
You know, speaking of that actually plays to your other point na para sa San Miguel, yung unang punto mo para sa kanila is that to make sure that everybody eats. I think there were a few games during the series against Meralco kung saan si Junmar at si CJ Perez ang gumawa and really not much from a lot of the other guys and natalo sila. But then with this San Miguel team, I think it's fair to say that everyone needs to contribute no matter how well a CJ Perez or Junmar Fajardo will play.
Well, they've accepted their roles. I mean, it was tough maybe at the start when you brought them in, even us as fans, parang, can they embrace their roles? Can they accept that they're not superstars anymore? I mean, at least the role that they will play in. Like Jericho Cruz, he came from NLEX wherein siya yung number 2 guy when Kiefer was out, siya yung number 2 guy kay Kevin Alas. So, now that they've accepted their roles and every time they get wins, you see the 3, 4, 5 guys are in double figures, aside from Junmar, whom, again, he will obviously eat his food. So, if they can all complement Junmar, then that will be a very, very, very big piece for SMB.
Actually, before we get to our next segment, I just want to add to that, in the games that San Miguel won in the semifinals, Junmar, he was averaging around 14 points, but in the losses, 22. So kita mo, yes, it's a lower average for Junmar, but everybody just really surrounding him and playing off him.
Alam mo, Denise, now, because he's our guest, and we're all going to be covering the game, by the way. We're all going to be covering game number 1. I'll be on shoot around. Denise, you'll be there at courtside.
Courtside.
And then Mikey, I think you were going to be there for Smart, if I'm not mistaken. So, because you're our guest here, I'm going to ask the one thing that we cannot answer.
Okay.
Kasi, ganito yan eh. TNT going into this one has a bit of rest against the San Miguel Beermen. A lot of people are looking at the series as a whole na it's a relatively an even matchup. Pero sa game number 1, pabor ba ang TNT against the San Miguel Beermen?
There's only one guy who needs rest, and that's Jason Castro. I believe the other guys are young enough to play, games in 2 days, 3 days. But there's only one guy who needs rest, which was Jason, in which sobrang taas yung usage rate niya. So, I believe with a big piece like Jason, they will have that slight edge against SMD.